Good morning, everyone, and on this fantastic day, welcome to Positive Vibes. This is Philip Friday. Today is a special day. Well, let alone there's 10,500 people on this site now. I have one of what I consider, and many other people consider to be one of the finest character actors in the UK. He's a great friend of mine and somewhat of a mentor. And he's yeah. Good morning, Tim.
Morning, pal. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. Fantastic in this weather. You?
Isn't it? I know. I've got my shorts on. Aye. It's
Lovely.
fantastic. Fantastic.
Well, don't be showing us your legs, mate. We're fine. It's early morning.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh, champion! I thought it was Usain Bolt.
I've showed my legs plenty of times over the last couple of years, pal. Don't worry about that.
Oh, I know. Yeah, we'll get on to that. I know. I want to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Well, I thought, listen, I could do hours and hours on you, but I haven't got hours and hours. So I'd like to get to the crux. I'd like to, when you were a kid, you born and bred in the Northeast, and I was reading that you were in the paratroopers.
I was in four para, the SES, Saturdays and Sundays. But I was a welder actually in a factory, and I hated every minute of it.
Yeah.
And my dad had got me interested in drama because he used to be an amateur actor and asked me to be in this play when I was 11, and I fell in love with it. And then I just fell in love with drama, and I started work as a welder. I hated it. So I became a soldier, like the weekends, and then it was the island situation started. So then I was a soldier 3 days. So I was a soldier Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then he started giving me time off to go to camps in the summer and that. And I got so fit, I just eventually threw the gear down and walked out and said, I'm going to be an actor. And I think being in the Paris gave me the confidence to do that, really. I got so fit. And I went and enrolled in a drama. I did a 2 years drama at Durham Technical College. That was it.
Right, okay. And then, but from there, then you started doing the clubs, because this is a bit I'm interested in. You've told me many stories about that. But the working men's clubs, and at that time, I mean, my time, they were prevalent, weren't they? That was the focal point, the hub for every community, really.
Well, that's right, yeah. You know, everybody went to clubs, you know. You went with your mum and dad. You know, we used to have holidays, you know, and we used to go weekends to the coast together. As a little lad, you know, in the Northeast, you know, you look forward to getting your club card, you know, when you were 18. And there were fantastic communities, you know. That's why there were miners clubs. And get a Steels Club in Sunderland, and you know, they were all because there were millions of working men then. That's what they were. And then sadly, you know, Thatcher's Britain came along, and it started to die off because there weren't any working men anymore. So the whole world's changed now. But it was very much a community situation then, you know, in the 60s and the 70s when I started to do them, you know.
Well,
great fun.
I can remember being in there many times. I remember the fishman coming in, walking around, the bingo, the strippers when I got a bit older on a Wednesday afternoon. You know, there was all lots of stuff going on. What did you do? You must have done, well, I know for a fact, you did a lot of stand-up comedy. Cut your teeth on there.
I did. Well, I started off in a double act called Unit 2. Unit 2 with a guy, great old friend of mine, Bob Horseman, who sadly died a couple of years ago, bless him. And I became his double act partner. And we did comedy and sang, you know. If we were dying, we'd put a song in. And I did this for a couple of years with him. And eventually I started getting work as an actor. I got a little job in Emmerdale and then a little bit in Coronation Street. And I did a Crown Court. And every time I was working, it meant he couldn't work. He couldn't work without me.
Right.
So I said to him eventually, I said, well, look, you know, when I get these acting jobs, I'll give you half my money. And I used to give him half my fee because that was our livelihood. And eventually he didn't want to take the money off me. So he got another double act partner, and I went solo, and I became a stand-up comic for my sins on my own. That's when I really started to learn about it, you know.
Yeah. Oh, die a few deaths.
Tough. Oh, I died many a time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've done clubs where Les Dawson has died. You know, I've done clubs where Tommy Cooper didn't do well. I've never heard of Tommy Cooper getting paid off.
No.
But I know Les Dawson died of death at a few clubs in Newcastle, you know. The reason was, I think, is because unless you were brilliant at what you were doing, they'd seen it all before, you know. Yeah. Unless you were something completely different, you know, because 7 nights a week they would have entertainment, you know. Yeah, every night of the week there'd be a comedian and a singer, or a singer and a magician, or a band and a comedian. So they were sort of like, they had that many turns on. You had to be very good, otherwise they were bored, you know, and they'd let you know if they were bored, they would just...
Oh, yeah, but I mean, you
would die.
Some of the compares you came up against tried to steal the show. I remember the compares used to think they were the star of the show, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and if you weren't quite good enough, they couldn't wait to get on themselves, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a lot of jealousy there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, moving on from that, so you cut your teeth in there. And I would say, and you will probably agree with it, what you are most famous for, or it's certainly in the top three, it's got to be about Alvida's in. It's got to be, hasn't it? I mean, I read it's 37 years ago.
Is it 1982? So, yeah, 38. Yeah. When we filmed it. But I've been an actor for 10 years, you know. I've been at the Live Theatre, where something I'm very proud of, you know.
You founded that, didn't you? Did you co-found?
One of the founder members, yeah. I was a founder member. Now we've got this fantastic theatre on the quayside, and the policy is still the same. We do new plays by new writers, and we tour them in the Northern Arts region from, you know, Carlisle to Whitley Bay to Berwick, all the way down to Middlesbrough. And while we're out touring, we bring other companies in, like the RSC and Hull Chuck and all sorts of companies coming there. So I'm very proud of that. Now we've got a youth theatre there too, which means it's this fantastic breeding ground, you know, for talent. You know, because when I was a young lad, you know, to be an actor, everybody said, well, you got to be an actor. It's like an actor, you're buff, you know.
That's what my dad said to me. Yes, I'm going to be an actor. Are you gay? That's what he said.
That's right. What's through talking about being an actor? You know, actors weren't working class people until the very early 70s. I mean, in the 60s, you still got all these terrible accents, you know, because working class people were played by middle class and upper class people. That was the history, you know. And then all of a sudden, programs like Auf Wiedersehen Pet and Boys from the Black Stuff brought this raw truth and realism to TV. And I think that started this thing, and then of course we started changing. And now, of course, you can be from anywhere. And an accent now on TV is cool. Yeah. Cool to have an accent. But up until 1970, you know, actors came out of drama school like sausages out of sausage machines, you know. They all sounded the same. Yeah. You know? And if you had an accent when you went to drama school, it was drummed out of you, you know. Yeah. But now, of course, it's fantastic. And it's great to have different accents and voices on TV because it's musically brilliant on the ear, you know.
Yeah, of course it is, and it's real. And if you go back in time, Shakespeare's era, there was regional accents then. That was more like what we speak. That was spoken then.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. And it was catered for everybody, of course, didn't it? That's why you had a clown coming on. You know, every couple of scenes, a clown would come on and entertain the working class, and then of course you have the posh stuff for the middle class. Yeah.
So listen, going in.
And I can do that too, if I'd like to. But
really, very, very good, Tim.
It's all gone now, and so you know, Geordie's my thing.
Oh, I thought I was in a different world. It was Downton Abbey.
I'll still be downstairs. Casting directors, man, are useless.
Oh yeah, you'd still be shoveling the horse shit. There's no doubt about that. You're not going to.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's what are reminded, aren't they?
Yeah.
Casting directors.
Yeah.
You know,
we know that, don't we? That's one thing that won't change. Rose and John Hubbard. But listen, that's too technical.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Tell me about what it was like working with that cast, because I know quite a few of them, all but two of them, I think.
Yeah. Well, sadly, Pat's gone now, you know, and Gary, and Caroline, of course, who played my wife. In fact, there's a lot of them gone. Don't want to sound morbid. No, it was, it changed my life, obviously.
Have you got an itchy arse there?
I've got an itchy back, excuse me.
Oh, back, sorry, mate, sorry. Just wondering.
No, it changed my life, you know. I remember getting a script, it arrived and it said, "Auf Wiedersehen, Pet." And I thought, what's this, a German language program? Well, something, you know, and I read it and I just laughed and I just thought it was fantastic on the page. And this was before I met any of the cast, before I'd gone in to see Dick and Ian, the writers, you know.
Wonderful writers.
Well, again, fate again, you know, you see, you've got to be lucky in this job. And I was very lucky in the fact that I just finished a film called The World Cup, A Captain's Tale with Dennis Waterman.
Yeah, I remember it.
And I was playing a fullback, Dirty Hoggy, he was called. And he had this big speech about winning the World Cup and got the whole team behind him. Iron, he said, we're made of iron, let's get out there and show them iron. And that. Anyway, they saw me in this film and thought, oh, this guy's going to be good for Dennis, you know, in obviously.
Yeah, perfect, yeah.
And luckily, I took them to see, it came out of Tyne Tees, they were showing it at Tyne Tees TV. And I took the director along to watch it, and he said to me, I think you're going to do very well out of this. And that was it, I got the part. But it was fantastic because it was a comic look at Thatcher's Britain, you know.
Yeah.
Even though it was a comedy, it wasn't a sitcom, it was a comedy drama. It was about these poor guys that had to go abroad to work. And at that time, in 1982, there were 30,000 Brits on what they called a lump, which meant they were working in Germany and didn't have to pay tax. So they all had these fantastic dreams of going abroad and making a fortune, you know, saving up and coming back and buying houses, while Britain was in crisis. You know, the mining industry had gone, the construction industry was knackered. And of course, Neville's character, Neville had these dreams of going out there and saving up and coming back and buying Brenda a little house, you know. Yeah, of course, he ended up in a hut, like all these guys did. And I mean, these 7 guys wouldn't have given a shit about each other. Normally, they were just forced together. Yeah. They wouldn't have become friends normally. They're just in a hut together and they've got to survive, you know, a bit like the army. Yeah. And of course, what happens is you drink it all, come down the Reaper Born and
yeah, well,
back with nothing.
What's the story? Because I was said Jimmy Nail was a glazier, wasn't he? Didn't he just turn up on the spot or something?
Yeah, he was working in a glass factory. Yeah, his girlfriend Miriam at the time, her dad worked for Yorkshire Television, and she'd found out about them casting this, and she said, "Oh, they're going to be doing all this work. You'd be good as an extra." And he turned up, and he's in the same outfit he wears, you know, in his work clothes. Yeah, perfect. And they sort of interviewed him and were a bit frightened of him, actually, to be honest with you. And then they asked him to read the script, and he was just fantastic, an absolute natural, you know. And then they got me in to read with him. And I know that they were very, very impressed with us. And then they got us down to London to do a thing on camera together, a screen test. And it was all about whether he could handle this screen test. I mean, I'd been an actor for 10 years, so for me, it was like, oh, my big break sort of thing. But for him, it was his first job. And I remember getting on the train on the way back, and I said, we've got that job, you know. So I'm telling you, I know we've got that job, Jimmy. I said, I've been up for lots of these things before, like, you know, oh, shit, I don't care, man. She says, oh, good champion weekend, man. You've been in London for now. And a few peers, I didn't give a shit, like, you know. So I'm telling you, man, we've got the job. Not bothered. Anyway, a week later, we got that phone call, and that was it. That was Jimmy up and running.
And what was it like because so there you are, like you said, you've done 10 years as an actor, you get in there, becomes a part of the fabric of English television, but you're in there handling the fame. You're buying underpants in a shop and you get mobbed by women, was this correct?
Oh, yeah, because if you think about it, in them days, there was only 3 channels. I mean, Channel 4 was just about starting as well, I think. Yeah. But we were getting 17 million, you know yourself, like Coronation Street. Yeah. And I remember by about episode 4, it had gone mental. And I went to Marks and Spencer's to get a pair of trousers, actually.
So you've come up there already.
I was in there for nearly 3 hours. the manager came out, took me around the back and took me to the canteen and it took me down every aisle and took me to meet every person in Marks and Spencer's, and that was my first. I couldn't believe what was going on, you know.
Yeah.
It was my first claim to fame, yeah.
But you know, I could go on mentioning all of this, from Billy Elliot to everything, stage work. There's so much down here, stuff that you like, Hebben, that I really like. There's all sorts of stuff, but one of the ones
Bostock's Cup.
Yeah, a Bostock. Well, listen, we did something together called Bostock's Cup, which was way before Mike Bassett, and I like Ricky Tomlinson. But in my opinion, and I'm not, because I was in it, I played his sidekick. So he was the manager, Bertie Masson, and it was a small team that get to the FA Cup final, and it's got a great cast. But Bertie Masson, if you get a chance, you can only get it on YouTube because of the politics of ITV. Tim's character, it was the best performance I've ever seen you do, ever. It was only shown. It was only shown once.
Well, like anything, you know, what a great cast. You were great. We were fantastic together. We were a great tool. And all the casts were great, you know. But yeah, that was great fun. It's a shame that we didn't go on because we were going to do Bostock in Europe, weren't we?
Well, yeah, of course.
That didn't happen because, you know, the head of comedy at the time didn't have a sense of humour. That's terrible. It happens in television where we get heads of comedies, you know.
Yeah, and he didn't like sport.
Sense of humour.
Didn't like sport and didn't have a sense of humour. Perfect.
And didn't know football, yeah.
Exactly.
But it was one of those films, though, even if you didn't like football, still make you laugh.
Oh, listen, it wasn't just about, there was very little football, and what was played was just comedy gold. That slanted Richard Pontefract. But
yeah. Yeah.
Moving on to Benidorm. So I mean, this intrigues me because Les, or Leslie, your character, and I know you're given a chance to jump into women's clothes is not a problem to you, but she's probably an 8 pints of Stella girl, isn't she? Really, when you look at her. I mean,
Les and Leslie's the same character. I mean, the only difference is the costume.
Really?
You know, I remember getting asked by one of the magazines, what would Les have to drink? I said, a pint of lager. So what would Leslie have to drink? I said, probably 2 halves. But the thing was, it was just a man in the wrong clothes and a mistake. It was a mistake the way it happened.
I've seen the pictures. It was a big mistake.
Well, it wasn't a mistake in the fact that I loved when I got to do the job. But what happened was, I think it was 2006. I was at the TV Quick Awards, and I've been asked to present an award, and for Best Newcomer. And Benidorm that year was the first series it won Best Comedy. So I met Darren Litton, the writer, afterwards at the party, as you do, where you have a few beers, all free drinks, as you know. And I said, oh, it's great, I love Benidorm. And I said, I'd love to do one, you know. So would you like to do one? I said, I'd love to do one. He said, well, what would you like to be? I said, well, something people would never expect me to be, you know. That sort of showing someone does, I don't know. Transvestite, I said. You know, by this time I had a few beers. A transvestite, I said, did murder somebody. And I saw his eyes and he went, oh, and off he went. Anyway, 6 weeks later, the scripts arrived.
Fantastic.
And I'm a transvestite. And I went, oh my God, I'm bloody, and I'd forgot. Oh my, yeah. That was that night I had, oh dear, I'm playing a transvestite. And I thought, well, how am I going to play him, you know? And I thought, well, I can't be gay or sound effeminate because that would be an insult to the gay community, you know. So I thought, right, well, that's what I'm going to, oh no, what I'll do, I said, I'll be the...
It was a welder.
Butchest tranny you've ever seen, like.
I love it.
Then I thought about it, and then I put, I nicked Tommy Cooper's laugh almost, you know, because he's my idol, and then I thought about Les Dawson, you know, and that wonderful, him and Roy Barraclough, Sissy Neal. Never a question of Les being a woman, you know, hilarious.
Oh, brilliant.
So I thought, yeah, there's a bit of Les in him. And then Dick Emery, of course, I always loved, you know, you are awful, but like you could never walk in the high heels, you whirled, you sort of whirled. So I nicked his whirl, you know, and I nicked Tommy Cooper's laugh. And I licked the lizard's sort of posture, you know.
Well, you know,
and they put all three into one, and that was it. Really seemed to work.
But you know what? It didn't seem to work. It did work. It was brilliant. But every time I can't look at it. Obviously, that's because every time I look, I just laugh. Not that I've seen you in women's clothes before, but
no. Well, I know when I look at myself, and I used to think, oh God, I look like my Auntie Betty. No, I was trolling. I was.
I'm saying about 8 cans later, you go, I don't look bad in this.
No, no, that never happened to me. So no.
Rubbish. Listen, so you must be very proud of your 2 boys. I know them, and I was just thinking. I remember Matty sitting on my knee in when we were playing golf with Paul Squires.
Bless him.
That's how it got. Yeah. But what I read, again, I know Louis doing great in the acting side of it, and he seems to be settling down and work seems to be coming his way. And he's the pop of you. So, you know, but Matthew is with the 1975. I saw you getting down in the MEM with all the kids, and word tells me that in a couple of weeks' time there's a single coming out, which you wrote and you appear on, or you sing with.
That's right, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was a big shock. I wrote a song for his mum, Denise, you know, when she was really depressed. And I recorded it with Alan Clark at the time, right back in the early 90s. And I played it in the car to him, and he kept asking me to play it again. And play it again, Dad, play it again, Dad. It really moved him. And anyway, I forgot all about it. 20-odd years later, he just rings me up last year and said, Dad, can you remember the song you wrote about my mum? And I said, yeah. She said, can you still play it on the piano? And I said, yeah, I think so. So I want to put it on the album. I went, what? 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 I couldn't believe it. So I went down and I sounded like Les Dawson actually for the first 20 minutes trying to get it together. And then I put it down and then I went in the booth and sang it. And I left him with it, and now he sings on it as well. So we're singing in harmony, and he put like a 1975 vibe to it. Fantastic. And it sounds great. I'm so chuffed, you know. So chuffed. I mean, like I said, you know, how many rock stars asked their dad to be on the album? So I'm so delighted. It was great fun to do, you know. And
it must have been. I mean, it's the ultimate tribute, really. But I know how close you are with your boys, and I know how well they do. So I'm getting the signal here, so we'll have to do a Tim Healy part 2 and 3 at some point, if you don't mind.
Of course we will.
Champion.
But there's not that much to talk about. I mean, we could be here all day, you mate.
Actually, I've got so much down here, and people will definitely find all this because it is. You've lived an interesting life, and what I said at the start of the show, I meant you are one of Britain's most respected, if not greatest, character actors. That's my.
Oh, God bless you, pal. That's very kind. I'm very flattered.
You're very, very, very. So Tim Healy's locked away in this current circumstance, and we always do this at the end. So, favourite food, you can take your favourite food in with you. What would it be?
Oh, that's a hard one. Not favourite food, what would it be?
Beef pudding.
No. Oh, I think, mince and dumplings.
Mince and dumplings, right. What about a drink?
A drink?
Dumplings.
Pint of lager.
Pint of lager, mince and dumplings.
That's not what you're expecting, is it?
No, it is what I expected. And what about a song? Favourite song? One song you can take in, play it over and over again. What would it be?
White Shade of Pale.
White Shade of Pale. Good choice. Good choice. And I'm making a movie about Tim Healy. Who's going to play Tim? Which actor's going to play Tim?
Charles Lawton.
Charles Lawton. Cracking choice. Cracking choice. Listen, mate, I've got to leave it there. I love you to death, and thank you so much.
Love you too, son. And I love your hair. I know I'm my biggest fan, but there's no need for that, like. Take care, son. Take care. Love you.
Love you. See you later.
Love to the boys, everybody.
Yeah, same as Andy Joe. See you later. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Well.